A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it. Look, nobody wants to be passive. Nobody wants to be weak. No one wants to be kicked around by life. And certainly the ancient Stoics didn't either. The Stoics were masters of the universe. The Stoics lived in Greece when it ruled the world. The Stoics lived in Rome when it ruled the world. Marcus Aurelius was literally the most powerful person on the planet. The storms will never stop. The world will not grow quiet for your comfort. It will always move, chaotic, loud, unpredictable. But within that chaos, there is one place that can remain untouched, the mind that has learned peace. The Stoics did not pray for calm seas. They trained to stand firm within the storm. Because when the world rages and you do not, you become something unbreakable. Most people spend their lives trying to control what cannot be controlled. They chase certainty, comfort, approval, anchors that snap the moment the tide turns. The Stoic does not chase, they build. They forge calm from discipline, direction from chaos, purpose from pain. When the storm comes, and it always comes, they do not plead for it to stop. They adjust their sails and command the helm. True power has nothing to do with dominance or noise. It is the quiet authority of the person who is unmoved by circumstances. The Stoic mind does not need the world to be easy. It needs only to be steady. That steadiness changes everything. It's what turns pressure into progress, loss into understanding, fear into focus. Because once peace lives within you, no storm outside can touch you. Power without philosophy is corruption in slow motion. The Stoics understood this long before empires fell or leaders betrayed their own virtues. To lead, to build, to endure, one must first learn to govern the self. That is the beginning and the end of mastery. The Stoic philosophy was not theory. It was a weapon, a method for surviving chaos and ruling without being consumed by the very forces one commands. Marcus Aurelius lived at the height of Roman power, yet he wrote to himself as if he were a student, not an emperor. He understood that the throne does not grant control, it tests it. The Stoic leader does not crave recognition, comfort, or applause. They crave alignment between thought and action, between duty and virtue. Marcus reminded himself that power reveals the soul. It does not elevate it. When the spotlight hits, you see who a person has always been in the dark. To be powerful without being corrupted, one must practice restraint. Power is pressure. Without philosophy, it inflates the ego and erodes discipline. The Stoic remains unaltered, the same in power as in poverty, the same in victory as in defeat. They do not become what they hold, they remain who they are. This constancy is what makes the Stoic unshakable and their influence unbreakable. The Stoic mind studies consequence before ambition. Seneca warned that the unexpected blow lands hardest on the unprepared. That is why Stoics rehearse disaster. They picture loss, betrayal, hardship, and even death, not to suffer them twice, but to never be surprised by life. This practice, premeditatio malorum, builds readiness. You cannot control events, but you can control how ready you are for them. Modern leadership has forgotten this discipline. We build success like a monument, not a philosophy. We chase expansion and applause, but neglect inner structure. The Stoic way reverses the formula. Build the mind first. Everything else follows. If you can't control your emotions, your empire will eventually control you. Seneca said that a leader must never say, "I didn't think that would happen." The Stoic thinks of everything: war, exile, betrayal, failure. Each one is written into their mental blueprint. Preparedness is their shield. It doesn't make life easier. It makes the self unbreakable. When you expect difficulty, you absorb its impact. The Stoic is not shocked by hardship. they have already met it in the mind. The Stoic leader does not measure success by status, they measure it by control. Marcus Aurelius could command armies, but still questioned himself nightly. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Control of thought creates control of life. It is the highest throne. Most people lose themselves when power arrives. They become dyed purple, as Marcus warned, colored by fame, ego, and indulgence. The Stoic purifies power through humility. The more they rise, the less they need to prove it. They do not talk of authority, they embody it. Leadership is not performance, it is posture. True freedom has never been financial, it is mental. The Stoic knows that wealth and rank only expand the cage for those who lack discipline. The poor man can be free in thought, while the king can be enslaved to desire. The Stoic does not worship status. They study it as a test. Each promotion, each victory, is an examination of whether virtue remains intact. When Marcus Aurelius received absolute power, he shared it. That act alone redefined leadership. It proved that philosophy could tame the hunger that consumes most men. The Stoic knows that real power is the ability to give away what others cling to hold command loosely, to wield authority without arrogance, to govern without domination. That is mastery. The Stoic understands that ambition without self-awareness leads to decay. Define success before you chase it. Seneca wrote, "If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." Without direction, energy becomes chaos. The Stoic sets clear intention. They move with purpose. They know what is enough. They stop where others lose themselves in endless desire. Modern society mistakes activity for progress. The Stoic sees through this illusion. Productivity without principle is just motion. Achievement without virtue is failure dressed in gold. The Stoic leader focuses not on doing more, but on doing rightly. Each decision is measured against justice, discipline, and wisdom. The rest does not matter. A Stoic does not fear criticism. They fear moral compromise. To lead with principle is to stand against the tide. Marcus wrote that the opinion of others is a shadow. Your duty is the substance. You cannot serve both truth and popularity. Power tests this every day. The Stoic answers with silence, resolve, and integrity. Mentorship was sacred to the Stoics. No one masters the world alone. Zeno had Crates, Marcus had Antoninus. The chain of wisdom passes through time, refining each generation. The Stoic seeks guidance not to be told what to think, but to learn how to think. Mentorship creates clarity. It saves years of error. It turns ambition into direction. In Greek myth, Athena guided heroes not through miracles, but through mentorship. She took the form of trusted counsel. The Stoic sees mentors the same way, divine reminders of reason. To ignore those wiser than you is arrogance. To learn from them is progress. The Stoic understands that strength is inherited through humility. The world glorifies noise. The Stoic studies silence. Leadership today confuses attention for influence. The Stoic commands through calm. When others panic, they plan. When others react, they respond. Serenity becomes their strength. Marcus ruled in chaos, yet remained centered because he practiced reflection. He did not broadcast emotion. He transmuted it into control. Discipline is the foundation of composure. Without it, even brilliance collapses under pressure. The Stoic builds daily rituals that anchor the mind. Early rising, solitude, journaling, simplicity. These habits are not aesthetic, they are strategic. They keep power from turning inward and rotting the soul. We live in a time where outrage is entertainment and distraction is identity. The Stoic leader detaches from this storm. They do not waste clarity on the crowd. They protect their attention as the most valuable asset. Every argument avoided, every temptation ignored, strengthens command. The Stoic does not chase the algorithm, they master themselves. Success without peace is failure in disguise. The Stoic studies the lives of those who have everything and finds them enslaved by it. As Seneca observed, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. Possession is not prosperity, peace is. The Stoic invests in stillness because chaos is expensive. Power reveals character. The Stoic knows this and practices restraint when given authority. When others exploit control, they exercise discipline. When others seek applause, they seek alignment. Every decision is weighed by one standard. Does it serve virtue? This question eliminates corruption before it begins. To be Stoic is not to suppress feeling, it is to channel it. Anger becomes justice, fear becomes awareness, desire becomes direction. The Stoic converts emotion into energy, then refines it through reason. That is emotional alchemy, the transformation of impulse into influence. The Stoic leader lives by example, not instruction. They do not demand discipline, they demonstrate it. They do not shout about values, they embody them. Their life becomes persuasion. Their presence becomes order. This quiet strength inspires others more than any speech could. The modern world glorifies complexity. The Stoic simplifies. Clarity is power. When your principles are clear, your choices become simple. When your purpose is defined, confusion loses its grip. The Stoic leader spends more time clarifying thought than seeking approval. The world follows those who see clearly. The Stoic knows that ethics and success are not opposites, they are partners. Integrity sustains achievement. Deception rots it from within. Marcus wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." The Stoic does not discuss virtue, they practice it. Preparation is the armor of the wise. Before the battle, the Stoic has already faced defeat in the mind and conquered it. This is why they remain calm when others panic. They have already suffered what others fear. They have already accepted what others resist. Their readiness is their advantage. Leadership demands courage, the courage to stand alone when right. The Stoic does not calculate what is easy. They calculate what is correct. They act with justice, even when it costs them comfort or favor. Power without justice is weakness disguised as strength. The Stoic leader endures both resistance and solitude without bitterness. Empathy is not softness, it is awareness. Seneca wrote that every encounter is an opportunity for kindness. The Stoic does not weaponize empathy, they wield it as wisdom. To understand others is to command influence. To care is not to surrender strength, it is to refine it. Humanity is one. Marcus reminded himself that he was not just a Roman, but a citizen of the world. The Stoic sees all divisions as illusions. Borders, tribes, titles, they vanish at the level of reason. The Stoic acts not for tribe or fame, but for the common good. Strength that serves only the self destroys itself. Power, when guided by virtue, becomes service. The Stoic seeks to build, not conquer. They use influence to elevate, not exploit. They see leadership as stewardship. The stronger they become, the more responsibility they bear. This is how Stoicism reshapes ambition, by turning desire for control into a duty for justice. Philosophy without action is performance. The Stoic practices what they think. They refine their character daily through small acts of courage, patience, and discipline. This quiet repetition builds greatness. No speeches, no spectacle, just principle in motion. To be Stoic is to understand that the world will never be stable, yet you can be. It is to live by reason when others are ruled by impulse. It is to do what is right when no one is watching. Power, peace, and purpose all begin in the same place: self-command. That is the Stoic path, the path of mastery, the path of restraint, the path of control. To master the world, master yourself first. Everything else follows. Strength is not given, it is built. It is hammered into shape through repetition, rejection, and relentless control of the inner world. The Stoic does not wait for calm conditions or easy paths. The Stoic becomes unshakable because life never promised stability. What makes a person unstoppable is not energy, luck, or talent. It is the ability to stay composed when everything else breaks. Every great mind that endured chaos understood one truth: if you can govern your thoughts, nothing can govern you. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire in history while his world collapsed around him. He faced war, betrayal, sickness, and death, and still wrote to himself, reminding that peace is not found in events but in perspective. The Stoic mind is trained to remain still inside the storm. It observes, assesses, and acts from clarity rather than reaction. In a world filled with noise, the Stoic remains silent within. Every opinion, every argument, every surge of emotion from the crowd is irrelevant to one who has mastered response. The modern person is constantly triggered, constantly provoked. The Stoic trains to become the opposite, untouchable by provocation, guided only by reason. This discipline separates those who drift from those who command their direction. The ancient philosophers taught that control is the highest power. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom is not a political condition, it is psychological sovereignty. When you no longer depend on approval, when you no longer chase what you cannot command, you are free. The Stoic understands this and directs energy only toward what can be shaped: the mind, the effort, the response. Becoming unstoppable is not about dominance, it is about inner order. The Stoic mind moves through chaos without losing form. It accepts pain without self-pity. It meets loss without collapse. It adapts to hardship without complaint. This is not passivity. This is control at the highest degree. The weak react. The strong respond. The Stoic acts with deliberate force, neither rushed by fear nor softened by comfort. Modern life has created a generation overwhelmed by abundance. Every convenience, every distraction, every dopamine surge weakens the muscle of restraint. The Stoic mindset reverses this decay. It sharpens attention, it restricts desire, it cultivates composure. The person who can delay gratification, who can sit in stillness without reaching for a screen, becomes more powerful than any algorithm or market trend. Resilience begins in thought. When pain strikes, most people collapse because they think suffering is a signal to stop. The Stoic knows suffering is a signal to strengthen. Marcus wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This is not poetic, it is mechanical. Every obstacle is resistance, and resistance is training. The mind adapts as muscle does, through friction. Emotional control is the weapon of the unstoppable. In the digital age, outrage is currency. Everyone wants a reaction. The Stoic refuses to trade in that market. They do not waste their peace on arguments or approval. They are aware of their triggers and disarm them through awareness. When insulted, they observe. When praised, they remain steady. When tempted, they stay unmoved. This composure is not weakness, it is power under discipline. The Stoic understands that life is warfare. Each day demands defense against distraction, temptation, and decay. Comfort weakens the will, indulgence dulls the edge. The Stoic mindset restores the sharpness of command by aligning thoughts with action. To be unstoppable is to be internally unified, no conflict between desire and duty, between fear and focus. Self-mastery is built through repetition. Every moment of restraint, every moment of silence when anger calls for reaction, forges the architecture of strength. You cannot build endurance without discomfort. You cannot build clarity without confusion. You cannot build command without resistance. The Stoic does not avoid these, they pursue them. The harder the challenge, the greater the training. People speak of motivation as if it were fuel. The Stoic knows motivation is unreliable. Discipline is the true engine. It does not depend on emotion or energy. It functions on commitment. The Stoic mind does not ask, "Do I feel like it?" It acts because it must. This detachment from emotional fluctuation creates unstoppable momentum. When the world moves erratically, the Stoic remains constant. Silence becomes the mark of mastery. Those who talk often do not act. Those who act rarely need to talk. The Stoic carries stillness into every environment, creating presence without noise. In meetings, in crises, in conversations, they respond from structure, not from impulse. Their calm becomes a gravitational force. Others sense it, but cannot imitate it, because it is not performed, it is earned. Every day is a test of endurance. The Stoic accepts this with gratitude. They wake knowing there will be interruptions, criticism, loss, delay. They do not pray for ease, they prepare for impact. As Seneca wrote, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests the brave." This readiness transforms anxiety into anticipation. The Stoic expects hardship the way a soldier expects the march. It is part of the path. The unstoppable mind treats failure as feedback. Each mistake refines precision. Each setback trains patience. To a Stoic, defeat is not identity, it is data. They extract lessons and move. The weak assign meaning to failure, the strong assign direction. This pragmatic detachment from outcome keeps the Stoic advancing while others retreat into excuses. Modern distractions attack attention like parasites. The Stoic mindset removes them with discipline. Constant stimulation destroys depth. The person who can sustain focus in a world of noise becomes extraordinary by default. Attention is the new wealth. Presence is the new power. The Stoic spends attention wisely, never on outrage or envy, but on progress. Comfort is the invisible enemy. The Stoic deliberately seeks discomfort to maintain edge. Cold showers, early mornings, isolation, all are training grounds for willpower. These are not rituals of punishment, but reminders that control is earned, not granted. Pleasure dulls the instincts. Pain sharpens them. The Stoic uses both as tools, never as masters. The greatest danger in life is drifting, living without direction. The Stoic defines purpose clearly. They do not chase everything. They execute what aligns with principle. When you know what matters, distraction loses leverage. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop arguing with difficulty. You move with conviction. That is how strength becomes identity. There will always be fear. The Stoic acknowledges it, but does not serve it. Fear is information, not command. It shows where growth is required. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let fear dictate movement. The Stoic stands firm, knowing that what they fear today will become what they master tomorrow. The Stoic is alone, but never lonely. Solitude becomes their forge. When removed from noise, they hear themselves clearly. They analyze thought, behavior, motive. They refine, correct, and strengthen. Isolation does not weaken them, it clarifies them. In silence, the Stoic becomes indestructible because their peace is self-generated. Comparison is a sickness. The Stoic is immune. They compete only with yesterday's self. Progress is measured internally. When the crowd obsesses over status, the Stoic invests in self-command. When others seek validation, the Stoic seeks truth. Their value is not assigned by metrics, followers, or wealth. It is rooted in discipline, the only currency that never devalues. The Stoic understands time as the most precious asset. Each moment wasted on resentment or distraction is theft from potential. Marcus wrote, "Do not act as if you will live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." Urgency sharpens discipline. Knowing the clock is finite forces precision in how life is spent. Every challenge is an invitation to refine the mind. When fatigue sets in, the Stoic remembers, exhaustion is proof of effort. When doubt arises, they anchor to principle. When progress slows, they persist. This relentlessness is not aggression, it is alignment. The Stoic knows that mastery is not achieved through bursts of energy, but through years of consistency. The Stoic mindset transforms how obstacles are seen. Traffic becomes patience training. Conflict becomes composure training. Loss becomes gratitude training. Every experience has use. Nothing is wasted when viewed through philosophy. This shift from resistance to utilization is the foundation of unstoppable living. The Stoic rejects self-pity. Complaints weaken focus. Gratitude strengthens endurance. Even in pain, they ask, what can be learned? What can be built? What can be improved? This approach turns tragedy into transformation. To the Stoic, the world is not cruel. It is complex. The wise adapt. The weak resent. Purpose gives direction to suffering. Without purpose, discomfort feels meaningless. With purpose, pain becomes fuel. The Stoic aligns every act with a mission higher than emotion. Whether leading, creating, or enduring, they do so with precision. When effort is unified with principle, fatigue becomes irrelevant. The work becomes identity. The unstoppable mind is not emotional detachment, it is emotional discipline. The Stoic feels deeply but is not ruled by feeling. Anger, grief, joy, excitement, all are observed without surrender. The goal is not to eliminate emotion, but to master its influence. The mind becomes the commander, not the captive. Every day the Stoic rehearses death, not out of morbidity, but awareness. Remembering mortality keeps priorities clean. It burns away pettiness and restores focus to what matters. Memento mori is not darkness, it is clarity. The unstoppable mind lives urgently, acts decisively, and wastes nothing. To become unstoppable, one must accept full responsibility. Blame is surrender. Excuse is decay. The Stoic never says they made me angry or they ruined my peace. They say, I allowed it. Ownership transforms weakness into control. The moment you take responsibility for everything, you become untouchable by anything. Discipline is the ultimate expression of self-respect. Each small promise kept builds trust with oneself. Each compromise erodes it. The Stoic understands that the hardest battle is internal. When your word to yourself is unbreakable, external chaos loses power. Integrity is not a virtue, it is armor. The Stoic knows that mastery is not about perfection. It is about persistence. Every fall, every mistake, every lapse in control is met with recovery, not guilt. Regret wastes time. Correction restores progress. The unstoppable do not dwell. They rebuild immediately. Momentum is sacred. and the Stoic guards it ruthlessly. In a distracted world, the Stoic becomes a rare figure of presence. Their calm is magnetic because it is real. Their silence has weight because it is earned. They walk through noise untouched because they have trained for it. They are not chasing peace, they are embodying it. That embodiment becomes strength. It becomes influence. It becomes legacy. Unstoppability is not an external pursuit. It is an internal architecture. When the mind is disciplined, the body follows. When the will is trained, destiny obeys. The Stoic mindset changes everything because it begins where few ever look, in the invisible discipline of thought. When you control that, you control the world. Adversity is the forge where strength is made. The Stoics never asked for ease. They asked for endurance. To live without resistance is to live without proof of character. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." The absence of challenge is not peace, it is decay. The Stoic mind understands that difficulty is not a punishment, it is permission to rise. In the quiet moments between struggle and triumph, identity is formed. Every obstacle reveals who you are beneath comfort. Epictetus said, "The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it." This was not poetic vanity. It was mechanical truth. Muscles grow through tension. Character forms through friction. The Stoic does not wish away difficulty. They shape themselves through it. The modern world confuses ease with happiness. Comfort is celebrated as success, but ease has never built endurance. The Stoic rejects the illusion that life should be painless. Hardship is the gymnasium of the soul. Pain teaches restraint. Frustration builds patience. Failure builds direction. The Stoic learns that the purpose of adversity is not to break you, it is to awaken you. The path upward has always been long and brutal. Hesiod wrote, "Long is the way and hard, that out of hell leads up to light." The Stoics adopted this metaphor to describe the ascent of the disciplined mind. Every person must walk through the private inferno of doubt, loss, and fear before reaching the clarity of mastery. The Stoic knows there is no shortcut. Every step through the fire purifies the will. A person who avoids struggle remains untested. A person who embraces it becomes unstoppable. The Stoic treats hardship as curriculum, not catastrophe. Each difficulty exposes weakness. Each challenge becomes a lesson in control. Adversity refines judgment, toughens nerve, and demands order. Through it, the Stoic learns composure that cannot be shaken. Modern culture sells escape, distractions, pleasures, constant comfort. But every avoidance creates debt. The Stoic pays up front, with effort, endurance, and patience. They do not fear the bill of hardship. They pay it daily, knowing the return is strength. The more difficulty faced, the greater the capacity to endure. The more resistance overcome, the sharper the mind becomes. Adversity is the proving ground of wisdom. When life is simple, philosophy is decoration. When life is brutal, philosophy becomes necessity. Stoicism was not built for comfort, it was built for crisis. The Stoic mindset thrives in difficulty because it transforms reaction into control. When everything falls apart, philosophy remains structure. The Stoic views pain as feedback. Every trial, every failure, every setback is a teacher. The weak look for blame. The strong look for instruction. The Stoic extracts meaning from chaos, converting suffering into strategy. This is why the Stoic cannot be stopped. Every obstacle strengthens the same muscle that was meant to fail. There is no progress without friction. Every step forward is paid for in discomfort. The Stoic embraces this truth. They do not beg for ease or plead for relief. They welcome the grind because it exposes what comfort hides: potential. To become unstoppable is to stop negotiating with hardship. The Stoic does not ask, "Why me?" They ask, "What must be done?" Seneca wrote that adversity reveals whether you are gold or clay. Fire does not destroy, it distinguishes. When the Stoic suffers, they are refined. When the weak suffer, they crumble. The difference is mindset. The Stoic does not fear the flame because they know what it forges. Each trial becomes a certification of strength. Modern comfort makes people soft. Convenience removes the need for resilience. The Stoic reverses this decay through deliberate struggle. Early mornings, restraint, solitude, consistency, all are forms of self-imposed adversity. They remind the mind who is in command. The Stoic does not seek punishment, they seek preparation. When everything goes wrong, most people panic. The Stoic prepares for this moment long before it arrives. They rehearse loss, illness, rejection, death, not out of pessimism, but precision. Premeditation of hardship removes the element of surprise. The Stoic is never blindsided by difficulty. They have already faced it in thought and accepted its necessity. Adversity is a mirror. It shows you the gap between who you think you are and who you truly are. The Stoic stares into that reflection without excuse. They confront weakness head-on, not to judge it, but to strengthen it. When life delivers chaos, they remain composed because they have already stripped illusion away. What is left is discipline. The Stoic learns that endurance is not just the ability to suffer, it is the ability to remain clear during suffering. Anyone can survive pain. Few can think through it. Clarity and discomfort is what makes the Stoic dangerous. While others react, the Stoic calculates. While others despair, they adapt. While others quit, they continue. This is what unstoppable looks like. The path of hardship is the only reliable teacher. Books can inform, advice can guide, but only adversity can prove. The Stoic understands that lessons learned in comfort fade when pressure returns. Lessons learned in hardship remain permanent. The body forgets luxury. The mind never forgets pain. The Stoic does not romanticize struggle, they respect it. Pain is not noble by itself. What you do with it is. The Stoic uses adversity as raw material for transformation. Each hardship becomes a building block for self-command. The greater the weight carried, the stronger the structure becomes. The weak look for an easier life. The Stoic looks for a stronger mind. Difficulty is their gymnasium, not their prison. To them, obstacles are repetitions, each one building resilience. They understand that life will not slow down to accommodate fragility. So they harden the spirit until it becomes unbreakable. Adversity is the purifier of ambition. It burns away illusions and forces focus. When all comfort is stripped, what remains is conviction. The Stoic finds meaning in pain because it removes everything that is not essential. The person who can function in chaos has earned simplicity. The person who avoids chaos has earned fragility. The Stoic does not measure progress by ease. They measure it by control under pressure. The calm that remains when everything collapses, that is success. The silence in the storm, that is mastery. The ability to smile while enduring pain, that is strength realized. These are not emotions, they are practiced conditions of mind. Seneca taught that fate tests the strong, not the weak. Hardship seeks those capable of carrying it. The Stoic sees every challenge as a compliment from destiny, a signal that they are worthy of the trial. They do not curse the difficulty, they rise to meet it. The greater the mountain, the more honor in the climb. To be untested is to be incomplete. The Stoic welcomes adversity as proof of existence. The battle itself gives meaning to life. Without struggle, there is no virtue. Without resistance, there is no progress. Adversity gives definition to character, the way shadows give depth to light. The Stoic understands that struggle is a privilege. It is the opportunity to demonstrate courage, to prove endurance, to affirm discipline. Most people want comfort because they have never seen what hardship can build. The Stoic sees it as a gift, a path to immortality through mastery. Adversity exposes what comfort conceals. It shows the cracks in your philosophy, the gaps in your discipline, the weakness in your will. The Stoic faces this exposure with gratitude. Each revealed flaw becomes an assignment for refinement. They do not hide from imperfection, they sharpen it into strength. The Stoic mind transforms the meaning of pain. Suffering becomes fuel. Setbacks become direction. Failure becomes information. Each loss recalibrates perspective. The Stoic does not dwell on misfortune, they dissect it. In that analysis, emotion dissolves and control returns. To become unstoppable, one must learn to operate in difficulty as if it were normal. The Stoic does not wait for good conditions. They create calm in the midst of chaos. Their strength is not visible in victory, but in composure during collapse. When others lose focus, they remain precise. When others fade, they advance. The Stoic does not ask for lighter burdens. They ask for stronger shoulders. This mindset eliminates helplessness. Responsibility replaces victimhood. When life applies pressure, the Stoic becomes denser, sharper, more defined. Adversity becomes a sculptor, and the Stoic its willing material. The world is designed to test the disciplined. Every comfort seduces, every distraction weakens, every easy path misleads. The Stoic resists all of it by remembering the principle, no challenge, no growth. They endure difficulty willingly because they know what it yields: clarity, resilience, and command. To rise from adversity is not a single act, it is a lifestyle. Every morning the Stoic chooses endurance over indulgence, patience over complaint, control over reaction. They understand that mastery is cumulative. Every small act of resilience builds toward invincibility. Seneca warned that comfort breeds weakness. The Stoic counters this by seeking voluntary difficulty, exposing themselves to what others avoid. They walk into challenge with calm eyes. They rehearse struggle until struggle feels familiar. When true adversity strikes, it finds them already trained. The Stoic's strength is not in avoidance of pain, but in adaptation to it. Their response to hardship is discipline, not despair. Their reaction to loss is gratitude, not collapse. Each moment of control under stress is proof that philosophy is alive within them. That is the Stoic mindset that changes everything. The weak see adversity as interruption. The Stoic sees it as initiation. Every challenge is an invitation to rise. The fire that consumes others becomes the same fire that hardens their will. Through discipline, awareness, and acceptance, they become immune to defeat. They are not spared from hardship, they are strengthened by it. The Stoic knows that the way out of darkness is through endurance. The path is long, the climb steep, but the summit is self-mastery. From the depths of struggle, they rise without bitterness, without complaint, without fear. That is what makes them unstoppable. That is what transforms the mind into power. Difficulty is not the enemy. It is the architect of greatness. Every Stoic knew this. Pain is the price of peace, struggle the price of strength, and adversity the proof of the soul. The greater the difficulty, the more glory in overcoming it. This is not just a saying, it is a strategy. The Stoic mindset turns every fall into ascent, every wound into wisdom, and every obstacle into the way forward. Greatness is not born in a single moment. It is built through endless repetition, forged through years of unseen effort, tested through fire and failure. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." The Stoic understands this as law, not advice. Nothing permanent grows overnight. Strength, wisdom, and mastery are the result of disciplined endurance, of showing up day after day, unmoved by results, unbroken by delay. The impatient collapse long before greatness finds them. The Stoic does not demand immediate reward. They know that every season has its rhythm and every ascent its cost. Progress that comes slowly builds roots. Growth that is rushed collapses under pressure. The Stoic becomes unstoppable because they accept that mastery cannot be forced. It must be earned through time, friction, and devotion. The Stoic aligns themselves with reality rather than resisting it. Cleanthes wrote, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the unwilling. Those who fight against life's flow are dragged by it. Those who cooperate with it move forward in calm power." The Stoic does not waste energy wishing for easier conditions. They adapt to what is. They walk in step with fate, not as slaves, but as strategists. The willing are guided, the resistant are broken. To resist what must be is to double suffering. The Stoic learns to say yes to the moment, no matter how difficult. This is not surrender, it is mastery. Acceptance allows focus. Focus creates movement. The Stoic does not complain about the mountain. They climb it with precision. Each step, though slow, is progress. Each obstacle, though painful, is purpose. Seneca said, "Fire tests gold, adversity tests the brave." Hardship does not choose the weak, it seeks the worthy. The Stoic welcomes adversity because it validates strength. Pressure reveals what cannot be faked: endurance, patience, clarity. Without trials, courage is theory. With them it becomes fact. Fire purifies gold, but it also destroys impurities. The Stoic steps into the flame to refine what must remain and release what must not. The weak look at suffering and see misfortune. The Stoic looks and sees training. Life is not against them, it is building them. Every loss sharpens awareness. Every disappointment strengthens resolve. Every pain tests alignment. The Stoic does not run from hardship. They cooperate with it, shaping it into discipline. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. This is the Stoic prayer: quiet, direct, unromantic. The Stoic does not beg for mercy. They ask for endurance. They do not hope for rest. They hope for readiness. They understand that resilience is worth more than relief. An easy life teaches nothing. A hard life teaches everything worth knowing. Strength is not built in calm seas. It is built when the waves crush, when vision blurs, when hope dims. And yet the Stoic continues. Endurance is the highest form of courage. It is not loud. It is not glamorous. It is the silent act of persistence when no one watches, when results are invisible, when the reward is far beyond sight. Every trial carries the question, will you resist or will you endure? The Stoic answers through action. They continue the work. They stay disciplined when motivation fades. They hold to principle when the crowd abandons it. They understand that life tests commitment the way fire tests metal, without warning, without mercy, without apology. Epictetus taught that the true test of philosophy is consistency. Anyone can be calm in comfort. The Stoic proves composure under pressure. They hold the same posture in victory and defeat. This uniformity of spirit creates power that others cannot understand. The world changes, but the Stoic remains identical, anchored still, deliberate. Fate is not an enemy, it is the unseen teacher. Every event, Every loss, every delay is part of a greater choreography that the Stoic accepts with composure. They do not complain about timing, they refine readiness. When things fall apart, they rebuild stronger. When plans collapse, they adapt faster. Willingness turns misfortune into motion. Most people pray for outcomes. The Stoic prays for endurance. They understand that fortune cannot be controlled, but focus can. They do not seek to avoid difficulty. They seek to become immune to it. That immunity comes from inner discipline, not outer comfort. Adversity arrives to measure the truth of your philosophy. It asks, do you believe what you claim? The Stoic answers with behavior, not words. They remain calm in the storm, balanced in the fall, steady in the ascent. This unbreakable posture is not arrogance, it is awareness of control. The Stoic knows what belongs to them, their choices, their reactions, their principles. Patience is a form of strength. It is the ability to remain composed when results delay. The Stoic understands that time is the ultimate test. Nothing worthwhile unfolds quickly. Greatness matures like iron in fire, slowly, violently, completely. The impatient seek reward. The Stoic seeks refinement. Every setback is a signal, every failure a teacher. The Stoic listens to both. They see no wasted moment, no meaningless event. What appears random to the untrained eye is precise to the Stoic mind. They see design where others see chaos, opportunity where others see loss. The Stoic's endurance comes from this vision. Everything serves purpose when viewed correctly. The Stoic knows that endurance is not passive. It is active strength under restraint. It is the choice to keep moving when stillness would be easier, to remain silent when anger tempts speech, to persist when exhaustion demands surrender. This controlled intensity defines the Stoic way. Fire tests gold. The Stoic invites that fire. They understand that purification requires pain. Every trial strips away illusion. Every hardship burns away weakness. What remains is clean, concentrated strength. The Stoic does not fear loss. They fear wasting the opportunity to grow through it. The willing walk beside fate. The unwilling are dragged by it. The difference is mindset. The Stoic aligns intention with inevitability. They know storms will come, but instead of resisting the tide, they learn to steer within it. Control is not defiance of nature. It is cooperation with it. Endurance turns chaos into order. When the world becomes unpredictable, the Stoic becomes immovable. They no longer depend on outcomes for peace. They depend on their preparation, their philosophy, their control. Calm becomes the natural response to pressure. Stillness becomes the weapon against confusion. Epictetus warned that greatness requires patience. The Stoic accepts the long climb. They are not seduced by shortcuts. They do not rush mastery. They respect the process of transformation. Every repetition of effort, every disciplined day, every silent act of persistence compounds into permanence. The Stoic understands that time either sharpens or dulls. For the undisciplined, time erodes purpose. For the Stoic, time strengthens it. Endurance stretches patience into strategy. Every moment endured builds a deeper level of calm. Each trial faced without complaint layers another wall of resilience. Seneca said the brave are tested by adversity. The Stoic does not wait for tests. They train daily for them. They practice discomfort. They study pain. They meditate on loss. When difficulty arrives, it finds them already prepared. There is no panic, no shock, only execution. The test becomes confirmation. Life is the continual process of being refined by resistance. Each season brings new forms of struggle. The Stoic greets them as old friends, understanding that the same fire that burns also illuminates. Through discipline, hardship becomes guidance. Through endurance, pain becomes wisdom. The Stoic never prays for ease because ease erodes purpose. They pray for clarity, for focus, for strength. When life turns hostile, they do not curse fate. They align with it. Every challenge becomes a tool. Every delay becomes a lesson in patience. Every failure becomes a signal for adjustment. The unwilling see fate as an oppressor. The willing see it as an ally. The Stoic trains to be among the willing, to walk with destiny rather than fight against it. This alignment creates peace, not because life gets easier, but because resistance ends. The Stoic is not dragged by fate. They move with it, using its force as propulsion. The fire of adversity never truly ends. It shifts form. The Stoic accepts this as reality. They do not wait for peace. They create it within motion. Calm is not the absence of storms. It is the ability to function inside them. When the world burns, the Stoic walks through it clean, deliberate, alive. Every great thing is slow. Every strong mind is shaped through years of discipline, discomfort, and deliberate struggle. The Stoic trusts this pace. They understand that time and pain are partners in progress. There is no other path. The way to greatness is through endurance, through the steady repetition of resilience. To become unstoppable is not to conquer the world, but to be unmoved by its trials. The Stoic knows that life will test them endlessly, but each test is a gift. Fire will come. Fate will pull. Time will delay. The Stoic welcomes all of it, for these are the very elements that shape an unbreakable mind. No great thing is created suddenly. The willing walk with fate. The brave are tested by fire. The strong endure. This is the Stoic mindset that changes everything. The philosophy that transforms endurance into freedom and struggle into strength eternal. Most of the suffering people endure never truly happens. The Stoics knew this long before psychology gave it names. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The mind fabricates pain before life delivers it. It imagines loss before it occurs, fear before it arrives, failure before it unfolds. The Stoic understands that the mind is both architect and executioner of most misery, and that mastery begins by restraining imagination from creating unnecessary torment. The human mind is a machine that projects. It creates futures filled with anxiety and pasts filled with regret. It invents dangers, exaggerates threats, and multiplies pain. The Stoic trains to observe this process without becoming its victim. They separate perception from fact, imagination from reality. When the mind begins to spiral into what-ifs and worst cases, the Stoic interrupts it with truth. The event has not yet happened, and when it does, it will be met with reason, not fear. This is the difference between chaos and command. The ordinary person suffers twice, first in imagination, then in experience. The Stoic suffers once, and only when necessary. By disciplining thought, they remove the noise between reality and reaction. Fear loses its grip because it cannot grow in the soil of clarity. Freedom begins in this separation. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." The Stoic pursues this kind of liberation relentlessly. They do not chase pleasure or security. They chase independence from unnecessary disturbance. The moment you stop trying to control what you cannot, you recover immense energy to command what you can, your judgment, your choices, your direction. The modern world teaches dependence. We attach peace to outcomes, happiness to approval, value to comparison. The Stoic untangles all of it. They understand that true freedom is internal. It cannot be bought, inherited, or granted. It is earned by the consistent refusal to be ruled by what lies outside one's command. Every Stoic practice, reflection, journaling, meditation, restraint, exists for this single goal: freedom of mind. The calm person is not lucky, they are trained. Each moment of restraint weakens the hold of impulse. Each act of acceptance cuts another string of dependency. With time, the Stoic no longer dances to the world's chaos. They move by their own rhythm. Seneca said, "To bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength and burden." The Stoic embodies this. When adversity arrives, they do not resist it emotionally. They absorb it rationally. Misfortune has no grip on those who accept its presence. The calm mind converts catastrophe into challenge, suffering into structure. When emotion loses control, reason takes command. Most people add suffering to suffering. They react to pain with panic, to difficulty with despair. The Stoic breaks this cycle. They see pain as neutral, an event, not a verdict. Their calm is not indifference, it is intelligence. The more still the mind, the less room misfortune has to expand. Calm becomes the solvent that dissolves hardship's weight. The Stoic learns to endure without exaggerating. They refuse to label every inconvenience as tragedy. They see events as they are, not as emotion paints them. By removing dramatic interpretation, they remove half of suffering's power. When life is viewed without distortion, even hardship becomes manageable. Freedom and calm are born from the same discipline, control over perception. The Stoic does not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "What does this mean, and how should I respond?" The difference between reaction and reflection determines whether one remains a prisoner of emotion or becomes master of it. Modern minds are imprisoned by imagination. They suffer through scenarios that never occur, arguments that never happen, failures that never unfold. The Stoic cuts through this with a simple rule: do not fight ghosts. They refuse to pay attention to illusions. Every ounce of energy wasted on speculation weakens focus on reality. The Stoic directs their mind only toward what exists in front of them. To imagine pain is natural, to believe it is fatal. The Stoic distinguishes between thought and fact. They allow the mind to wander, but not to dictate emotion. They observe fear as a mental projection and respond with reason. The moment awareness replaces imagination, peace returns. Freedom, in the Stoic sense, is not escape from responsibility. It is control within responsibility. The Stoic does not avoid life's demands. They meet them with precision and calm. They are free because they decide how to think, how to act, how to interpret. The world can take everything except that decision. The Stoic trains daily to protect this freedom. Morning meditation sets intention. Evening reflection restores clarity. Throughout the day, they watch their thoughts like a guardian at the gate, allowing only what serves reason to enter. This is not detachment from life. It is mastery of engagement. To live enslaved to emotion is to serve an unsteady master. The Stoic chooses reason as ruler. Reason is stable, objective, patient. It does not panic. It does not exaggerate. It simply observes and decides. This is the internal republic of the Stoic mind, a state ruled by order, not chaos. Seneca wrote that fortune strikes hardest when unprepared. The Stoic prepares through acceptance. They accept that loss will come, that pain is certain, that change is inevitable. This acceptance creates immunity. What is expected cannot destroy you. What is understood cannot surprise you. Calm, once again, robs misfortune of its sting. Freedom is built on boundaries. The Stoic defines clearly what belongs to them and what does not. Their opinions, their actions, their judgments, these are sovereign territory. Everything else, praise, insult, outcome, is foreign soil. To care for it is to invite invasion. The Stoic defends only what they own. An undisciplined mind seeks control where none exists. It obsesses over weather, politics, reputation, timing. The Stoic redirects that obsession inward. They learn to control tone, reaction, focus, posture. Power is found not in external mastery, but in inner order. This inward empire is the only one that cannot fall. Modern anxiety is the result of forgotten philosophy. The Stoic revives it through practice. They limit assumptions, slow thoughts, and question fears. When the mind races ahead, they anchor it to the present. The present, they know, is the only territory where control exists. The Stoic does not seek to eliminate emotion, they aim to discipline it. Fear becomes alertness, anger becomes fuel, sadness becomes perspective. Emotion is energy, and the Stoic channels it through reason. In that balance, suffering transforms into strength. Imagination is powerful. It can create heaven or hell within seconds. The Stoic respects its force but never serves it. They use imagination to plan, not to panic, to visualize improvement, not disaster. What is envisioned deliberately becomes creation. What is imagined recklessly becomes torment. Freedom from imagination's tyranny is the rarest form of peace. It comes only through awareness. The Stoic practices this awareness daily. Every time a fear arises, they ask, "Is this real?" Every time anxiety appears, they ask, "Is this useful?" These questions break illusion. They turn chaos into order. The Stoic doesn't live without struggle. They live without unnecessary struggle. This distinction is everything. The world will always challenge. The Stoic simply refuses to add imagination to the list of adversaries. They meet reality as it is, clear-eyed, steady, ready. Seneca's wisdom remains timeless. Most pain is mental rehearsal, not reality. The Stoic interrupts the rehearsal. They step out of imagination and into presence. In presence, fear evaporates. Worry loses grip. Freedom returns. To bear trials with a calm mind, that is victory. Misfortune loses force when met with stillness. The Stoic becomes untouchable not by avoiding hardship, but by removing emotional permission for it to dominate. Calm is their armor. Awareness is their weapon. Discipline is their crown. Freedom, then, is not found in what happens. It is found in how you see it. When the mind stops inventing problems, reality becomes manageable. When you stop resisting what cannot be controlled, life becomes lighter. The Stoic becomes unstoppable not by strength alone, but by serenity. The Stoic knows that control of thought is control of life. To govern imagination is to govern peace. To detach from illusion is to see truth. That truth is freedom, the only worthy goal in life. The calm mind does not eliminate storms. It moves through them untouched, free, and unbroken. Ambition defines direction. Without it, the mind drifts and the soul weakens. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." The Stoic understood that what a person pursues determines what they become. To aim low is to live small. To aim wisely is to live with purpose. Ambition is not greed. It is gravity. It pulls the individual toward a higher standard, shaping both thought and identity. The modern world distorts ambition into vanity. People chase recognition, wealth, or applause, mistaking noise for value. The Stoic separates the appearance of ambition from its essence. True ambition is not to be seen, but to be capable. It is the steady commitment to internal greatness, not the performance of success. The Stoic asks not, "What do I want to have?" but "Who do I want to become?" Marcus Aurelius understood that ambition reveals character. The worth of a person mirrors the quality of their pursuit. Shallow aims produce fragile souls. Noble aims build endurance, clarity, and direction. The Stoic does not chase quantity of goals. They cultivate quality of purpose. Every ambition must be aligned with virtue, or it becomes corruption. Nietzsche echoed this spirit centuries later when he wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." The Stoic knew this truth intuitively. Purpose gives form to suffering. It transforms pain into persistence, fatigue into focus. The mind anchored to meaning can endure storms that would destroy the aimless. The Stoic lives not to avoid hardship, but to outlast it through reason. Ambition without purpose leads to exhaustion. The modern pursuit of status, attention, and comfort is empty fuel. It burns bright, then collapses. The Stoic builds ambition on principle, not pleasure. Their why is eternal. To serve wisdom, discipline, and justice, that is the ambition that never fades. From it comes strength that cannot be broken by disappointment. Every person must decide what governs their desire. The Stoic chooses alignment over indulgence. They measure ambition not by how high it climbs, but by how cleanly it is built. A goal without virtue is a trap. A goal built on reason is liberation. Ambition must serve the soul, not enslave it. Marcus wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Thought, therefore, is the dye of ambition. Whatever the mind contemplates repeatedly becomes its nature. If the thoughts are small, the soul contracts. If they are disciplined, noble, and precise, the soul expands." The Stoic guards the mind carefully, knowing that every idea leaves a mark on identity. The Stoic mind becomes what it admires. It studies greatness not to imitate form, but to emulate substance. The Stoics' ambitions are not measured by wealth or victory, but by mastery, of emotion, of will, of purpose. They aspire not to rule others, but to rule themselves completely. This self-governance is the highest ambition of all. Without a clear why, effort disperses into distraction. The Stoics' why is simple, yet immense. To live according to nature, to act with reason, to remain in command of oneself. This direction turns chaos into structure. Every challenge becomes context. Every failure becomes information. The Stoic's path is never wasted because every step is aligned with meaning. Modern ambition glorifies speed. The Stoic glorifies direction. Progress without clarity leads to ruin. A fast path to nowhere is still failure. The Stoic moves slowly, deliberately, guided by principle rather than impulse. Their success is measured in stability, not spectacle. They seek control over progress, not progress without control. Ambition gives shape to existence. Without it, life collapses into habit and repetition. The Stoic does not fear desire, they refine it. They take the raw power of ambition and mold it into disciplined purpose. Each goal is filtered through virtue, each decision through reason. This refinement turns restless energy into ordered force. The Stoics' ambitions do not depend on recognition. Their standard is internal, not social. The crowd cannot measure the worth of a Stoic's aim because it does not share the same definition of success. Where others seek comfort, the Stoic seeks control. Where others seek applause, the Stoic seeks alignment. Their ambitions are quiet but unrelenting. The soul becomes what it repeats. Thought, action, and focus dye identity with permanence. The Stoic repeats discipline until it becomes nature. They repeat awareness until it becomes intuition. Over time, their ambitions and their being become indistinguishable. They no longer strive to become, they simply are. The Stoic does not compete for approval. They compete with former versions of themselves. Ambition becomes a process of refinement. not comparison. The modern obsession with visibility weakens discipline. The Stoic remains unseen, yet effective, silent, yet unshakable. Their ambition does not need witness to have value. He who has a why can endure almost any how. This is not philosophy for comfort, it is philosophy for command. The Stoic's why is not sentimental, it is mechanical. It dictates endurance, it removes hesitation. When meaning is clear, difficulty loses weight. Purpose neutralizes fear. The Stoic moves through chaos with the confidence of one who knows why they exist. Ambition is the soul's architecture. Each thought is a brick. Each decision is a beam. If constructed carelessly, it collapses under pressure. The Stoic builds deliberately. Their ambition is rooted deep in philosophy, reinforced by discipline and crowned with composure. They do not rise quickly, but they never fall. A person without purpose becomes a servant to circumstance. The Stoic refuses this slavery. They define their life in alignment with virtue, not with fashion. Their aim is constant, to embody wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Every other ambition, wealth, fame, comfort, is secondary and temporary. The Stoic seeks the eternal. Modern ambition often disguises emptiness. It promises fulfillment, but delivers dependence. The Stoic detects this illusion early. They see that every pursuit tied to external validation ends in exhaustion. True ambition must be self-sustaining. It must draw power from within, not from applause. When the external collapses, the Stoic's fire remains. The worth of ambition lies in what it demands from you. Shallow goals require little. Noble ones demand transformation. The Stoic welcomes this cost. They do not seek ease, they seek depth. Each trial becomes confirmation that the ambition is worthy. The harder the pursuit, the stronger the soul becomes. Marcus wrote that the mind is colored by its dominant thoughts. The Stoic paints it intentionally with precision, order, and calm. They do not allow fear, envy, or resentment to stain their clarity. Each morning, they begin with reflection. Each night, they review their conduct. This routine purifies ambition, keeping it aligned with reason. The Stoic learns that ambition must be disciplined by humility. Desire without wisdom leads to destruction. Ambition restrained by virtue becomes power. Marcus Aurelius was emperor, yet his ambition remained moral, not imperial. He sought to rule himself before ruling others. That is the difference between mastery and vanity. Nietzsche's insight complements the Stoic's truth. Endurance requires purpose. The why behind effort is the spine of resilience. The Stoic knows that without it, every hardship feels fatal. With it, every hardship becomes fuel. Meaning does not make life easier, it makes it endurable. Every Stoic ambition carries weight because it is aimed at permanence. Wealth fades, fame evaporates, even legacy is temporary. But virtue, wisdom, integrity, courage cannot be taken. The Stoic invests only in what survives time. That is the ultimate ambition, to become uncorrupted by change. To build such a life requires attention. Every thought is a brushstroke painting the soul's interior. The Stoic keeps the palette clean. No envy, no self-pity, no resentment. They color the mind with focus, gratitude, and restraint. Over years, this creates harmony between intention and identity. The Stoic becomes a living embodiment of their philosophy. The modern mind drifts between goals without grounding. The Stoic anchors ambition in principle. They know exactly why they rise, why they endure, why they remain calm. Purpose is their compass, discipline their pace. They may move slowly but never aimlessly. The Stoic refuses to let emotion corrupt ambition. Passion without reason burns out. Reason without passion stagnates. The Stoic fuses both, fiery intent under cool control. This balance creates momentum that cannot be broken by external noise. To live without ambition is to live without gravity. To live with blind ambition is to live without direction. The Stoic walks the middle path, ambition harnessed by virtue, desire governed by discipline. Their goals refine the soul, not exhaust it. A person's worth, Marcus said, equals the worth of their ambitions. The Stoic tests this truth daily. They examine motives, refine priorities, and adjust course. Every ambition must serve meaning. Every thought must serve order. Through this constant self-correction, the Stoic maintains alignment between ideal and action. Ambition does not end when achievement begins. The Stoic never stops aiming higher within themselves. Each victory becomes another test of balance. Success can corrupt faster than failure, and the Stoic remains vigilant. They celebrate progress without attachment, accomplishment without pride. The soul, dyed by its thoughts, reveals its color in action. The Stoic cultivates a mind of steady hue, neither darkened by cynicism nor bleached by complacency. Their tone is deep, grounded, unwavering. In the chaos of modern life, this calm intensity becomes magnetic. It is not ambition that exhausts the Stoic, it is the lack of it that exhausts others. The Stoic mind is a workshop of transformation. Every thought, every goal, every challenge shapes the material of identity. To aim high is to sculpt the self into strength. To aim low is to dissolve into mediocrity. The Stoic chooses the harder path because it leads to permanence. To become unstoppable, one must align ambition with meaning and thought with virtue. The Stoic achieves this by living deliberately, by examining, refining, and repeating principles until they become nature. The result is not noise or fame, but clarity, composure, and power that cannot be borrowed or lost. The worth of your life will equal the worth of what you pursue. Aim wisely, think cleanly, endure fully, for the soul will always become the color of its thoughts, and the direction of its ambition determines whether that color fades or shines forever. The world is chaos in motion. It crashes, pulls, and breaks against everything that tries to stand still. Most people are carried by its force, tossed from one emotion to the next, ruled by change, destroyed by instability. The Stoic is different. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Be like the rock against which the waves break, and it stands firm, while the raging of the sea falls still around it." This is not poetic imagery, it is instruction. The Stoic learns to become immovable in a world built to shake. To be like the rock is to live by principle, not preference. The waves are circumstance, unpredictable, violent, and endless. The Stoic cannot stop them, but they can remain unmoved by them. Stability does not mean the sea stops raging. It means the Stoic stops reacting. The calm that follows is not external, it is internal mastery, the silence that remains after every storm. The modern world thrives on disturbance. It feeds on outrage, distraction, and comparison. The Stoic sees this and refuses participation. They do not rush to every emotional tide. They stand still in judgment, waiting until the waves pass. This stillness is not passivity. It is control. It is the discipline to respond from order, not from noise. A rock is not proud. It simply exists in alignment with its nature. The Stoic imitates this humility. They do not resist out of defiance, but out of understanding. The world's chaos cannot touch the person who accepts that it will always exist. The Stoic does not wish for calm seas. They prepare for rough ones. Each wave that strikes and fails to move them is proof of growth. Seneca wrote, "The wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. Contentment is not surrender, it is sovereignty. To be content is to be complete within what is. The Stoic does not depend on conditions to feel peace. They build peace from principle. When you no longer crave what is absent, the world loses power over you. Discontentment is a form of slavery. It ties happiness to what might happen rather than what is happening. The Stoic breaks this chain by mastering perception. They look at what they have and see sufficiency. They look at what they lack and see irrelevance. The wise mind does not need more. It needs alignment with less. Most people live as if stability is a product of circumstance. The Stoic knows stability is a product of character. External things are never consistent. Money changes, people shift, health declines, fortune turns. The only structure that endures is internal: discipline, patience, and clarity. These form the granite beneath the Stoic's composure. To be like the rock is not to reject emotion, but to govern it. The Stoic feels deeply but selectively. They do not let passing moods redefine their philosophy. A wave of anger, a surge of fear, a flood of anxiety, all are allowed to crash and fade. The Stoic remains. Their mind is the shore, their principles the stone. Every day brings new waves. Insults, failures, disappointments, losses. The ordinary person reacts to each one. The Stoic observes and responds only when reason commands. They understand that reaction is weakness disguised as engagement. Response is power disguised as stillness. To be unshakable, one must practice stillness before the storm arrives. The Stoic trains daily through restraint, reflection, and perspective. They rehearse loss, insult, and change in thought so that when they arrive in life, composure is instinct. This is not detachment from reality, it is preparation for it. The sea cannot destroy the rock because the rock does not fight back. Resistance strengthens stability, not through violence, but through endurance. The Stoic strength is silent. They do not shout when challenged. They simply remain. The less they are disturbed, the more power they hold. Contentment is the second half of Stoic mastery. It completes stability. A person who stands firm but is bitter has not yet achieved peace. The Stoic combines endurance with acceptance. They face hardship without resentment. They lose without despair. They succeed without arrogance. Their stability is emotional balance, not mere resistance. Seneca taught that contentment is found in alignment, not acquisition. The more you align with reason, the less you depend on circumstance. The Stoic learns to want what is, not what could be. They no longer beg fate for outcomes. They meet it halfway and say, "Lead me." The willing walk calmly where the unwilling are dragged. Modern society has taught people to chase what they lack, to define worth by accumulation. The Stoic rejects this disease of desire. They own themselves fully. They can be poor yet powerful, isolated yet whole. The Stoic does not envy the rich or pity the poor. They measure both by inner order. Every possession, every achievement, every pleasure is temporary. The Stoic remembers this constantly. They do not cling to what time will take. They enjoy without attachment, lose without collapse. This detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. What cannot be kept should not be worshipped. To be like the rock is to understand impermanence. The waves will come again and again. Life will test, push, and erode. The Stoic accepts this repetition as a part of existence. Peace is not the absence of motion, it is balance within motion. The rock does not resist the sea, it endures it until the sea exhausts itself. Seneca's wisdom about contentment complements Marcus's image of the rock. Both teach the same principle. Calm is built, not found. You cannot wait for peace, you must create it. Contentment is not given by fortune, it is earned through discipline. The Stoic builds peace the way a craftsman builds stone, through patience, repetition, and skill. Every Stoic understands that dissatisfaction begins in thought. When you demand what is not, you weaken the spirit. The mind becomes divided, half in desire, half in resentment. The Stoic unifies it by focusing on what is present. Gratitude becomes strength. What you appreciate fortifies you. What you envy enslaves you. The Stoic life is not the rejection of the world, but the mastery of engagement with it. They move through chaos with serenity because they do not expect it to be different. The modern person asks for comfort. The Stoic asks for clarity. They would rather see the storm clearly than live in blind calm. To bear life without complaint is a form of quiet heroism. Every day, the Stoic stands firm where others falter. They do not require admiration or understanding. Their victory is private, the simple act of remaining grounded. Power for the Stoic is not about control of others, but control of self. Contentment does not mean stagnation. The Stoic still strives, improves, and acts. But they do so without anxiety. They move from completeness, not from lack. Their ambition is directed by reason, not desire. Each achievement is bonus, not necessity. The rock does not measure its worth by the storm's approval. It simply endures. Likewise, the Stoic does not measure their peace by external validation. They are steady in solitude, consistent in noise, and calm in conflict. Their stability is self-generated, their contentment self-chosen. To be calm in fortune's turning is to reach a level of strength few ever touch. The Stoic accepts gain and loss with equal silence. They remain centered in motion, like a compass that always points true north, regardless of how the world spins. Seneca reminded that the wise do not curse fate. They adapt to it. The Stoic turns adversity into teacher and simplicity into wealth. They understand that what the world calls misfortune is often the exact condition needed to grow stronger. The calm mind transforms obstacle into order. Marcus Aurelius lived surrounded by chaos, war, plague, betrayal. Yet he wrote of tranquility as if it were always within reach. It was, because his peace was internal, immune to politics and circumstance. He was the rock, and Rome was the sea. No matter how it raged, he stood, and in his steadiness, the storm lost meaning. The Stoic seeks that same stillness. They train for it through daily reflection. They question impulses, slow reactions, and measure thought. Each time they refuse to be disturbed, they grow stronger. Calm becomes a habit, then a nature, then an identity. To desire what is not yet here is to live perpetually elsewhere. The Stoic rejects this exile of the mind. They live fully in the moment given, doing what reason requires, accepting what fate delivers. This union of presence and acceptance is their true freedom. Contentment is not resignation. It is discipline over desire. The Stoic chooses satisfaction not because life is perfect, but because the mind is trained. Gratitude replaces craving. Stillness replaces pursuit. In that stillness, power appears. The rock metaphor is more than resilience. It is philosophy embodied. To remain grounded when the world shakes is to prove mastery over impulse. The Stoic practices this until stillness becomes instinct. They no longer fight the waves. They let them break and fade while they stand untouched. To be like the rock is to live above reaction. To be content like the wise is to live beyond need. Together, they form the Stoic ideal. Composure through acceptance, peace through presence, strength through stillness. This is not theory. It is the only reliable form of freedom. The Stoic does not wait for calm seas. They become calm themselves. They do not wish for more. They perfect gratitude for what is. They do not beg for lighter burdens. They train for stronger backs. In the end, the waves fall still, not because the sea has stopped raging, but because the Stoic no longer breaks. Peace is not the absence of chaos. It is command within it. The Stoics understood that calm was not a luxury, but a necessity for survival. He who has a peace within himself can withstand any storm. This line captures the entire architecture of Stoic philosophy. The world will rage, people will shift, fortune will turn. But if the inner world remains ordered, no external wave can overthrow it. The storms of life are inevitable. Loss, betrayal, uncertainty, pain, they come without permission. The ordinary person tries to control the weather. The Stoic learns to control the ship. They understand that the sea cannot be mastered, only navigated. To endure the world, one must first master the helm of the mind. Peace to the Stoic is a trained state. It is not natural, it is earned. It is built through repetition, each day spent governing reaction, accepting fate, and aligning thought with reality. Over time, that discipline becomes an unshakable calm, a stillness that no circumstance can corrupt. This is not passivity, it is the highest form of strength. Epictetus taught that a ship should not ride on a single anchor, nor life on a single hope. Dependence is the root of fragility. The Stoic spreads their stability across principle, discipline, and acceptance. When one source of comfort is taken, they do not collapse. Their peace is diversified across virtues, not outcomes. No single loss can drown them because their life is not anchored to anything external. Modern society anchors itself to conditions, status, wealth, approval, comfort. Each is fragile. When one breaks, the person breaks with it. The Stoic rejects this model. Their anchors are internal: character, control, clarity. When the sea of life rips away every comfort, these hold fast. The Stoic floats not by fortune, but by philosophy. Inner peace is not a reaction to calm conditions. It is what creates calm conditions. The Stoic does not wait for the storm to end to feel stable. They bring stability into the storm. The mind trained in composure alters perception itself. Chaos becomes movement, not threat. Uncertainty becomes opportunity for discipline. Where others see danger, the Stoic sees another chance to practice control. The person who depends on one thing for peace, success, approval, love, builds life on thin ice. When that single hope fractures, despair follows. The Stoic builds layers of strength. They have many sources of order, but all flow from within. They can lose everything and still remain whole, because what defines them cannot be taken. To have peace within is to stop negotiating with circumstance. The Stoic does not say, "I will be calm when things improve." They say, "I will be calm because I have decided to be." This decision transforms existence. External storms no longer command the internal weather. The person becomes sovereign, unshaken by the tides of fortune. A single anchor cannot hold against a storm. It will drag, snap, and fail. The Stoic anchors to principle instead of hope. They rely on reason when emotion rises, on preparation when chaos erupts, on acceptance when loss strikes. This network of anchors keeps them steady when others drift helplessly. Peace is the highest discipline because it requires continuous effort. Anyone can be composed when life is kind. The Stoic practices calm when life is cruel. They use discomfort as training. Each insult, delay, and defeat becomes a test of endurance. The storm is not enemy, but instructor. True peace is the absence of inner conflict. The Stoics' thoughts, desires, and actions move in one direction. They do not fight themselves. Their goals align with their principles. Their effort aligns with reality. This harmony produces the stillness others confuse for luck. Modern life glorifies constant motion, endless goals, endless noise. The Stoic learns to pause without losing progress. Stillness becomes a tool of power, not idleness. To stop reacting is not to give up. It is to take control of what actually matters. The calm mind sees options the chaotic mind cannot. Epictetus taught that external things are not ours, only our responses are. Peace begins when that truth becomes lived understanding. When insult comes, the Stoic examines the feeling instead of defending it. When failure comes, they study cause instead of collapsing in shame. Every loss becomes material for growth. The storm will come. This is certain. The Stoic prepares not by avoidance, but by reinforcement. They build their philosophy like a ship built for high seas, sturdy, simple, adaptable. The hull is principle, the sail is reason, the compass is clarity. With these, the Stoic sails through what others drown in. To live by one hope is to surrender control. The Stoic diversifies meaning. They draw fulfillment from growth, not gain, from learning, not luxury, from purpose, not pleasure. These cannot be taken by time or fortune. The more internal the investment, the more permanent the return. Peace is not perfection, it is presence. It does not erase pain, it puts it in context. The Stoic accepts discomfort as part of the human condition. They understand that control is limited, but influence is vast. By mastering thought, they master the emotional current beneath every experience. To rely on a single hope is to misunderstand fate. The Stoic knows that life is flux. Expectation must bend, not break. What is lost today may return tomorrow. What is gained now may vanish overnight. The wise prepare for both without clinging to either. This is the essence of endurance. A calm mind is not indifferent, it is disciplined. It feels the waves, but does not sink under them. It hears the thunder, but does not flinch. The Stoic experiences emotion, but refuses enslavement to it. Feelings pass like weather. The mind remains the landscape. The Stoic who cultivates peace becomes an anchor for others. In a world addicted to reaction, their composure radiates strength. Their calm influences rooms. Their silence redirects chaos. They do not speak to be heard. They speak to restore order. That presence is leadership without performance. To live as a Stoic is to practice balance, action without agitation, focus without fixation, control without obsession. The Stoic acts fully but is never attached to outcome. They trust effort, not result. The storm may change direction, but the Stoic remains centered, guided by the compass of reason. Epictetus's warning about single hopes is a reminder against emotional dependency. The Stoic avoids building identity around fragile things. They know love can fade, fortune can fall, and praise can disappear. What remains is the self. That self must be strong enough to endure all seasons. Peace is protection. The Stoic does not seek armor of metal. They forge armor of mind. Insults glance off it. Loss passes through it. Failure tests it but cannot pierce it. This peace is not avoidance. It is invulnerability through awareness. To maintain inner calm requires daily labor. The Stoic trains like a warrior of thought. Each morning they set intention. Each evening they review conduct. They confront ego, analyze fear, and refine perception. Over time, this repetition becomes nature. Calm becomes reflex. The ship with many anchors can pause anywhere. The Stoic life with many sources of strength can endure anything. When one anchor breaks, another holds. When one dream fails, another forms. This multiplicity of meaning keeps the Stoic free while others are enslaved to circumstance. The modern person prays for easier waters. The Stoic prays for stronger hands. They do not ask for calm seas, they ask for skill to sail them. They understand that the storm cannot be avoided, only endured with precision. Every difficulty is preparation for deeper stability. To have peace within is to be self-contained. The Stoic carries no dependence on approval, no fear of rejection, no hunger for validation. Their satisfaction comes from doing what is right and enduring what must be. That is freedom, peace that does not need permission. Calmness is not inaction. The Stoic moves with grace under pressure. They execute decisions cleanly, without hesitation or panic. Their peace makes them faster, not slower. Because they waste no energy on fear, every action is efficient. Stillness amplifies effectiveness. Every wave is another test of alignment. The Stoic welcomes each one. They do not wish for the storm to end. They wish to improve within it. The sea of life exists to reveal the sailor's skill. The Stoic trains for that truth, and in doing so, they become indestructible. The lesson of the ship and the anchor is simple. Distribute your peace across multiple virtues. Do not rely on one hope, one outcome, one person, or one dream. Build layers of strength. Let discipline, patience, gratitude, and courage each hold a part of your foundation. Then, no storm can pull you under. The lesson of the storm is simpler still. If you hold peace within, nothing outside can command you. The sea may roar, but the mind decides its own weather. The Stoic lives this truth each day, calm amid motion, firm amid chaos, free amid the uncontrollable. He who has peace within himself can withstand any storm because he no longer sails for safety, he sails for mastery. And when mastery is the destination, every wave, every wind, every trial becomes a means of arrival. That is the Stoic's journey, the unbreakable voyage through chaos with a calm mind as the compass.